Deadpool 2 is currently wowing audiences around the world with its irreverent humor, awesome action, and graphic gore, the latter of which kind of makes the lead character unsuitable for inclusion in the kid-friendly Marvel Cinematic Universe, if we're being brutally honest. However, wouldn't it actually be cool if the Merc with a mouth was to appear in the MCU? We think so, and this video will theorize how that might actually happen. Be warned though, it contains MCU and Deadpool 2 spoilers.
You're absolutely right.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's the best way of keeping up to date with all of Screen Rant's great new videos.
Okay, hit it.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe is, without a doubt, the greatest comic book movie franchise to have ever existed. Yes, DC fans, it's definitely better than the Dark Knight trilogy, all things considered. And it's certainly the flagship Marvel movie franchise. It is therefore only right that the best and most popular Marvel Comics characters are a part of it. And Disney have started making sure that's the case by bringing Spider-Man over, in spite of the fact that his movie rights are actually still held by Sony. Deadpool certainly falls into the same A-list category as the Webbed Wonder. And there's no doubt at all that there'll never be a better live-action portrayal of him than Ryan Reynolds' version of the character.
I know, right?
So we'd love to see him alongside the likes of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, and Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange in the popular franchise. The rumors of Disney wanting to buy Fox certainly increase the chances of that happening one day. And although Comcast are supposedly in the mix as well, you have to believe Disney will win that battle if it comes down to it. And if that happens, the inclusion of Deadpool in the MCU would be easy to make happen. But how exactly would they get him over there? It is, after all, supposedly a completely different reality than the X-Men movie universe in which the super healing weirdo currently resides. But is it really? There are several reasons to believe he's actually already in the MCU, despite the obvious evidence to the contrary. The Deadpool movies have subliminally dropped a number of hints to suggest the action takes place in the MCU, as if it's the intention for that to be the case one day. For example, Blind Al, Deadpool's roommate, was an old friend of Captain America's in the World War II era, and the final battle in the first movie took place on what looked suspiciously like a S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Moreover, in a Deadpool 2 teaser trailer, the dead elderly gentleman in the alley certainly looked a lot like Peter Parker's Uncle Ben. And of course, there's the fact that Deadpool specifically mentioned a certain Mad Titan by the name of Thanos, whom you no doubt know was played by cable actor Josh Brolin, as well as either mentioning or making reference to a bunch of other MCU characters, including the likes of Hawkeye, Black Widow, the Hulk, Black Panther, and the Winter Soldier. And that brings us to Josh Brolin himself. Although the fact that he plays both Thanos and Cable doesn't create a specifically intrinsic link between the MCU and the Fox movie universe, it does immediately make people speak of them both in the same breath. And you can't help but think that that was intentional on Disney and Fox's part. Moreover, Deadpool and Thanos do have history in the comics. They've quite famously competed with each other for the affections of the cosmic entity known as Mistress Death. So that link between the different characters in the two separate franchises is definitely there, even if the universes aren't actually intertwined. But let's say that the two universes aren't currently linked in any way, which, let's be honest, is probably the case. How could Deadpool feasibly switch franchises? Well, the first and easiest answer would simply be to say, because he's Deadpool. He's unlike 99.9% of other comic book characters in the sense that he can actually speak to his audience, whether that be his readers in the comics or the viewers of his movies.
Is the mask muffling my voice?
Which suggests he has links to other realities just by being Deadpool. If he can communicate with other realities, what's to say he can't just step over into them whenever he pleases? Heck, an interesting twist could be that the audience he speaks to and can seemingly see in his movies actually reside in the MCU, which would make his transition there easier and smoother. While there are a number of esoteric potential ways of putting Deadpool into the MCU, it could just be that there's a ready-made piece for him in the various MCU teams and organizations that he's been involved with in the comics. The Merc with a Mouth has been a member of the likes of the Avengers, S.H.I.E.L.D., the Defenders, and Heroes for Hire, for example. So he could really just be recruited by any of those entities, which would of course create more questions than it answered.
That's just lazy writing.
But if Disney wanted the whole thing to happen with the minimum fuss, it's not completely out of the question. Of course, these are comic book movies, so the likelihood is that there'll be a more complex esoteric method of making the move happen, using some kind of crazy plot device, the obvious example being the Infinity Gauntlet. In the upcoming fourth and as yet untitled 2019 Avengers movie, reality is more than likely going to be altered in an attempt to bring back the characters who were erased from existence by Thanos in this year's Avengers Infinity War. And that could result in some aspects of of reality being a little different to how they were before. Given that it's probably going to be a heroic character who's never possessed 6 Infinity Stones before making the alteration, he or she might not get it exactly right, and that could mean Deadpool and potentially the X-Men and several other Fox characters joining the MCU as a result. The MCU has now also confirmed the existence of alternate dimensions and realities in the franchise. The Dark Dimension, the Mirror Dimension, Soul World, and the Quantum Realm, for example, which means a portal could potentially be open to the dimension in which the Fox movie exists. Magic could do it, or a combination of just the Power Stone and Space Stone alone could do it, and Deadpool would be most eager to recklessly jump right through it if it opened up anywhere near him, we imagine. Time travel could also result in Deadpool heading to the MCU, which is particularly interesting when you consider that it's already an established concept in the X-Men franchise, and it played a big part in Deadpool 2, and it's also set to become a major plot point in the MCU itself. Cable's time machine could, for example, end up taking Deadpool to an alternate timeline, because Deadpool's post-credits scene would certainly suggest that's possible, given that it enabled Deadpool to travel into the real world to kill Ryan Reynolds. And one of those alternative timelines could be the MCU itself, or a timeline in which the MCU and Fox movies coexist in the same universe. There's also the possibility that a reality-warping character could use his or her powers to alter the very fabric of existence to the point that Deadpool ends up in the MCU. Some characters who have the potential to reality warp already exist in both the MCU and Fox's movies, such as the Phoenix in the Fox movies, and Doctor Strange, Dormammu, the Living Tribunal, and Scarlet Witch in the MCU. The latter who could potentially do a reverse House of M by making it so mutants and their related characters do exist in her world, which could result in Deadpool, who is of course a mutate, not a mutant, joining her in reality. There's also a possibility that other reality warping characters could be introduced to both franchises and start messing with the very fabric of reality, such as Franklin Richards, Onslaught, Mad Jim Jaspers, or Nightmare, Amatsu Mikaboshi, the Shaper of Worlds, and Mephisto in the MCU, and any of those could inadvertently, or indeed intentionally, cause Deadpool to head to the MCU.
What the language?
Heck, the one above all could appear as the creator of both franchises and just will them both together. Deadpool also now has a new ally in the form of Domino, who possesses the power of luck. Given the wacky nature of the Deadpool franchise, he could just ask her to walk through a door and hope it's a door to the MCU, and given her ability to defy and manipulate probability, it would be. Granted, that's a bit of a silly one, but it further highlights the number of ways this could potentially happen. There have also been a number of stories in Marvel Comics that have seen different universes collide, or beings from different worlds forced to fight against one another. Massively powerful characters like the Grandmaster, who already exists in the MCU, have overseen fights between the Avengers and DC's Justice League, for example, while the Beyonder caused the Secret Wars storylines, merging worlds and forcing various heroes and villains to fight each other to the death. Something like that could very easily happen in live action, causing Deadpool and his supporting characters to fight against the MCU's biggest guns. Of course, there's always the chance that Deadpool could become so annoying that a cosmic entity in the Fox movie universe just banishes him to the MCU. His constant need to be funny and witty is hugely entertaining for movie fans, but you have to imagine it would quickly grow tiresome if you had to witness it 24/7. It says a lot about a character when banishment to another reality is a real possibility due to how annoying they are. Alternatively, an extreme way to make this happen could be if Disney ever wanted to bring the MCU to a definitive end. In that scenario, they need look no further than Deadpool himself to kill everyone off. The Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe storyline saw the Merc with a mouth killing Marvel's major characters en masse, before killing the company's writers themselves, and then threatening to do the same thing to the readers. So if that story is ever adapted on the big screen, when he's done with the likes of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Black Widow, Thor, and the people who wrote the movie, you, yes you, could be the next on the chimichanga-loving anti-heroes kill list. And what a unique, unexpectedly, and frankly awesome climax to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that would be.
There, all caught up.
And that's the end of our video. Did you enjoy it? Do you think Deadpool will end up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? What will need to happen for that to be the case? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Screen Rant for more great videos just like this one. See you guys later. Now who's up for some chimichangas?